and must be improved, the ministry, on the contrary, proudly claims the program has significantly improved the lives of many poor children and the aged without support. According to the minister, the monitoring was also to assess the progress of the program and to help.
77,000 households. So we've come to Wager to do this. The inmates here receive the money. We came with the former Minister for Social Development of Brazil, Marcia Lopez, and we've come to watch. This is the electronic payment. We're in Jamestown, and then we are now here.
So what is it? Would the money be geared towards? What's in particular?
It's to help them to buy food, to take care of their basic necessities. They are also enrolled onto the National Health Insurance free of charge. So these are some of the, and then their children go to school and they are immunized.
So just let me know briefly about your plans for the very vulnerable and poor.
We are going to increase the number of people to 150,000 households, which will translate to almost 300,000 persons from next year. We'll also increase the amount of money we are giving and make an announcement early next year about that.
In an interview with the caretaker at the Wager Leprosarium, George Kwanzaa, he was happy the program has contributed to improving the care for inmates at the Leprosarium. He, however, wished the package can be improved to help serve inmates with more nutritious food.
The current state that we are having here is very normal, cordial. The number of that I'm taking care of, they are 27. That is the cured lepers. They are 27 here. Better with the support of the LEAP program, they are better.
Now, what about?
I can't say they have been neglected because most of their family members come to visit them. They come to visit them, so they are not neglected. And then we, the Lepers Aid Committee, too, we are taking good care of them. In terms of food, in terms of accommodation, in terms of social, and anything at all that to enhance their living, we are doing it. So now the condition here, I can say it has been better, improved to better.
Now, let's go straight into the Legislative House this evening, where Speaker of Parliament Edward Uwajeho has tasked the leadership of the House to take up the adulterous wife stoning and hanging matter involving the Daboya Makirigu legislator Nelson Abudu Bani. The Northern Member of Parliament last week, Thursday, proposed that the law be passed by the House to include stoning to death and hanging as punishment for adulterous wives. He made the suggestion during deliberations on the Interstate Succession Bill.
Bani argued that it was unfair for an adulterous wife to inherit her husband who dies intestate without that spouse getting punished for her unfaithfulness. In his view, stoning to death and hanging will be appropriate sanctions for such a moral infraction, even though adultery is not a crime in Ghana's laws. Deputy Majority Leader Alfred Agbesi apologized on behalf of the NDC MP. Meanwhile, Tama West MP Irene Natoshi Ado said on the floor of the House that it was inappropriate for anyone to propose punishment for adulterous women, since, according to her, men also produce children outside their marriages. Bani was not in the chamber as of the time the issue was being discussed on the floor.
Now, still in issues relating to Parliament, where energy sector says players in the sector are working around the clock to stabilize the energy situation in the country. Now, according to him, the current load shedding involving between 350 and 400 megawatts was caused by erratic gas supply from Nigeria and the shutdown of some machines for regular maintenance. So that's what is going to intensify the erratic power supply, or what you'd call the dumsa situation across the country. But let's go beyond the Greater Accra region, spread our tentacles And getting to the Upper West region, where police in the Upper West regional capital have arrested 21 people in connection with bloody clashes in the town earlier today. At least 8 people are said to have sustained machete and gunshot wounds in the clashes between residents of the Jejerayeri and Dondoli communities there.
The two communities had been living peacefully until minor disagreement over a parcel of land turned chaotic. Our correspondent said the clashes, which began Sunday, appeared to have some religious undertones. 4 of the 8 victims are said to be in critical condition, having sustained various and machete wounds. According to Salam, 5 pellets are yet to be removed from one of the victims. 3 other victims have, however, been discharged. The regional minister, Amin Amidu Sulemana, has visited the two communities to appeal to the feuding factions to smoke the peace pipe. Having been Ghana's ambassador to Egypt at one point in his political career, the minister said violence was the feuding factions to let peace prevail. Meanwhile, security personnel in the Wa township have promised to keep the peace in the area.
And so we're going to be monitoring the situation, and those videos you saw there were some videos sent to us by one of the eyewitnesses there, indeed, who's been feeding us with information over there. So we're told that there's a heavy police and military presence in that part of the Upper West region, but they still stay with issues of politics. And ace actress Grace Omabo, popularly known as Mame Dokno, says she will never work with the ruling NDC, even if heavens come down, or if giving all the riches in the world. Grace Omabo, who some 2 years back won a case of negligence brought against her orphanage for the sodomy of a 6-month-old baby, says the whole confrontation was a falsehood by the NDC, orchestrated by none other than rudiment within the ruling National Democratic Congress.
Grace Omabo, also known as Mame Dokno, who had become a household name from acting, TV and radio hostess and businesswoman, saw her world built away from politics come tumbling down when news broke that a 6-month-old baby had been sodomized at a peace and love orphanage. The ensuing legal battle destroyed a career that she had taken years to build, leaving her with a host of ailments, hypertension and diabetes among others. She left Ghana for a 6-month thorough medical checkup when the judge absolved her of any complicity in the matter. Speaking with First Digital News in an exclusive interview, the multi-skilled 66-year-old failed politician says she would gladly go back into politics when given the chance, but would never join the NDC even if she's given the whole world.
I've been absent for about 6 years now. Yeah, I think in 2010 I had a problem with I don't know whether it was with the government or whatever, and I was dragged to court, and this whole thing took about 3 years, and it stressed me out, seriously stressed me out, so I became a little bit sick. So I had to go to my children abroad to have treatment, and after the treatment my doctor told me to take it easy. That is why you people have not been seeing me, but since last year I've started doing productions, and very soon people will see me on movies and on television.
She revealed she would still love to contest in her hometown, Nyafuman, in the Birim North district to cause the change that she had so much desired when she first contested. She stated that her passion to help the vulnerable and poor was her motivation to enter politics, and though she failed on 2 attempts, her spirit is never broken.
Because I was doing programs with the First Lady, she did a lot for me. This by the fireside, same fireside that brought us. No, Nana Kuredu.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
She sponsored my program, and when I went to my district, where my mother comes from, I am partly Ghana, from Usumabu, but my mother is an Akim. And we come from Brim North District. When I went there, I saw that they were very deprived. So I thought that when I go to Parliament, I will be able to talk for women. And you knew how I was very, very, very eager about women's issue. Exactly. So I thought that when I go to Parliament, my voice will be more heard. That's why I decided to, join Anekunu. At that time too, she was doing this 31st Women's thing. And I thought she was doing well. So I decided to join NDC. But originally, I was an MPP woman. And then when we lost, NDC lost, and I was still doing my women's program, and I had to, get in touch with people in NPP. I think some people didn't understand it so well, so they decided to cut me off. So I also got off and went back to my party. So that was it.
Peace and Love Orphanage has now been converted into a school with a population of about 250 children, still run by Mami Dokno.
Obviously, so a very, very sad Grace Omabo. They're not too happy about how the ruling NDC has treated them. But let's go into the Legislative House of Government, being Parliament, where the Minister of Finance is to appear before Parliament tomorrow to fulfill a statutory mandate of presenting before the House government's fiscal and financial policy for the 2015 fiscal year, in seeking the views of some members of Parliament of the minority on their expectations of the budget, which is going to be read tomorrow. They maintain that the 2015 budget will lack foundation since government failed to meet about 80% of its development targets in the 2014 budget, which should have served as the foundation for the 2015 budget.
The Minister of Finance, Honorable Setepe, is to appear before Parliament to present to the House government's 2015 financial policy for scrutiny. Members of the minority have, however, argued that they wonder the projections government has this time made in the 2015 budget and how these development goals can be attained, since government failed to meet about 80% of its projections made in the 2014 budget. They identified some of the shortfalls as government failure to pay statutory funds, now in arrears for over 4 quarters, collapsing of government social intervention programs, and misapplication of state funds, among other factors which have contributed to the rapidly deteriorating economy.
Look at the basis or the foundation of the budget itself. I have problem with this budget in the sense that if you consider the 2014 budget, what was the level of implementation of that budget? You base it on actuals and then you project into the future. If you consider most of the payments, most of the expenditure areas, especially the statutory funds, the whole of this year, government has not paid a single peso out of the Youth Assembly Commons Fund. So what projections are they going to make? On what actuals? Is it 2013 actuals? If you go to CARE Fund, the same. If you go to National Health Insurance Fund, the same. All these statutory funds have not been paid. So what are the actual expenditures they are going to use as the basis of the projection for the 2015? So you realize that even the fundamental is already weak.
Hardly a year ago, we had the opportunity to approve of a budget of the nation, of which allocations were made to ministries, departments, and agencies and other bodies for the running of the government machinery and the economy as a whole. We are all witness to the fact that funds that were approved has not been disbursed. Statutory funds meant for the National Health Insurance, the GET Fund, the Road Fund, the District Assembly Common Fund, and several payments, including commitment to Parliament, has not been fulfilled. The ministries are crying, virtually everybody, contractors have not been paid, the whole system. So I really wonder what the man is bringing for approval. But what we approved of last year has not been spent. If I give you money, you are going to do this and you have not spent the money, and you come for new approval, there's an account proverb that if you have sheep and you send some out to go and graze, when they have not come back, you don't put another one in.
Some members of the minority said this time They expect to see a more realistic financial policy, but not like that of the previous years, which have been full of public deception and political rhetoric.
The budget itself, the 2014 budget, hasn't been implemented. That is the bottom line. It hasn't been implemented. We passed about 39 billion budget as at March or so, and then you came for another supplementary of about 3.4 billion. There are statutory obligations that we all know by law that is part of the budget, and you've not implemented any of them. The whole year, the fourth quarter is ending, and you've not met your statutory obligation. So you could see that the budget hasn't been implemented. So what are you coming for? What are you coming to do? Because you also must review the 2014 budget. So that is the spirit behind it. That doesn't motivate us. You see, if an action-oriented budget 2014, then you are coming. It will excite us. It will motivate us. Now we are demotivated because the spirit is not in us now. We expecting that at least we will see growth in certain areas, but all indications show that there isn't going to be any growth in other area.
Budget reading is an annual ritual that we go through every year. Like he mentioned, last year we approved a big budget for the country, expecting that there were going to be a number of releases to various MMDAs, but we have waited till almost a month to the year, the end of the year. Most of the MMDAs have not received their statutory payments. So what are we talking about? What budget at all are you going to approve again? We approve budgets for the monies to be released to the various MMDAs. As at now, most of the MMDAs have not received it, including Parliament. For a whole of the year, no common fund for any district assembly, any member of Parliament. So the budget that was approved last year, expecting releases, and we have not received anything. What budget at all are you going to approve? Is it not going to be the same thing that we are going to experience next year? Because last year we approved, nothing were released. This year we are going to approve. So we are expecting that if we approve budgets, it's a mandatory that the Ministry of Finance must release funds to the various MMDAs.
Okay, so that is the expectation some minority MPs are having on the budget, which is going to be read tomorrow. Now, they are not hopeful about it because per their analysis, government didn't achieve much of its 2014 budget expectations. Now, some state institutions would, from next year, be asked to borrow on their own without any government guarantee. This is one of the measures Finance Minister Setekba is expected to announce in the 2015 budget tomorrow.
According to some persons close to the budget, the move would help bring down the public debt, which is currently hovering around 66 billion Ghana cedis. It would ensure that state institutions are more responsible on how they go about borrowing and also be responsible with funds. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Finance Mona Kwate has told First Digital Business the budget would come up with new measures to check the rising deficit. She said the budget will also take into consideration government's 3-year program with the International Monetary Fund.
Okay, so let's still stay with the budget this evening, and but tomorrow, all of the things being called, the Finance Minister will be presenting that fiscal document to the House and obviously to the nation. And Sami Kofi Ampa is a research analyst and also an economist with the Gold Coast Fund Management. Ms. Ampa, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, good evening.
And I'm grateful for your time this evening. First of all, now we're getting some information that state institutions or some state institutions will from next year be asked to borrow on their own without any government guarantee. And this one is going to be one of the measures the Finance Minister will be announcing tomorrow. I want to find out, first of all, your thoughts about this particular move, if it's going to happen.
Well, I think it's long overdue for some state agencies to be made to fund the activity. If you took a look at an institution like the university, the Legon, for example, I mean, they have been on government cost subvention for a long time. And when the decision came that they should go on their own, I guess it gave them an opportunity to look for money to fund projects that would directly benefit the organization. So I want to believe that it is time for government to give the opportunity to organizations to fund their own activities. It takes a strain of government budget. So government can look at how he can attack some of the, infrastructure gaps that we have. Government will look at how best it can improve and, close the gap between the poor and the rich. If most of government's budget is targeted at institutions, which institutions have that, what I mean is that these institutions have the capacity to look for revenue to, sponsor their own activities. It is very important that we do. And for me, I think that it will be a good thing if government is able to implement this new directive or policy that it wants to introduce in the 2015 budget. This is a good idea.
Wonderful. Now, considering the fact that we are in a very tight and also deplorable economic state, and considering economic performance going into 2015, and also bearing in mind the fact that we are in a bailout negotiation with the International Monetary Fund, what exactly will be your expectations of the budget going forward in 2015 tomorrow?
I am looking at a budget that will bring some level of confidence to the people of Ghana. I mean, if you look at what we've gone through in 2014, it has rather dampened the confidence level of Ghanaians. If you look at the business sector, for example, I mean, access to credit has been a problem. Power or energy that the manufacturing sector and even the SME sectors will need to be able to be productive is also a problem. If you look at exchange rates, what we have gone through in the past in terms of the value of the currency depreciating at a level of 40% from beginning of February to where we are now, where at least we've had some level of stability, but there's some volatility in that we experience. If you look at issues to do with unemployment, which is still high, currently speculating unemployment because in this country. If you look at the 2014, for example, you could not see a single statement on how government was going to fight corruption. So clearly you could see that a lot more people were not, were not happy in the 2014 fiscal year. So a lot more people are expecting that in 2015, the economic policy of government will directly look at how fiscal consolidation can be met, and that fiscal policy will meet its target. Monetary policy will support fiscal policy to meet a target. And then we'll look at the issues to do with social uplifting of every Ghanaian in terms of infrastructure, in terms of agriculture, in terms of health, in terms of school, education. So the expectations are high because we are coming from a year where there has been serious economic challenges and people are expecting a quick turnaround in economic process. Expectations are many. I mean, unfortunately, we had a very bad year, bad as in economic challenges in 2014. So it gives every Ghanaian some high level of expectation for 2015.
Well, but finally, bearing in mind that information we're getting is that this whole bailout by IMF will not come up until 2015. It will come maybe in the early part of the 2015. Bearing in mind that, and the fact that government would have to go present a budget which does not have the full complement of the bailout and how it's going to look like. How is it going to impact on government planning into the next year?
You know, there have been a lot of arguments that if to manage the state efficiently, I guess this country should not be in the situation as it is. But that's unfortunate. Now we have gone into that austerity where we'll need the IMF to come in. Indeed, I'm expecting the budget to take critical review of what the 2050 IMF expectations are. Now, we know how much the IMF is going to be. I mean, there's a lot of speculation as to that. The IMF is bringing close to about $800 million into the country. We want to see an outline of how these monies will be used in the long term, in the short to medium term, because the IMF program will not be only 1 year. The program is going to be spread. I understand it's about 6 years program, and government is asking for a 3-year program. We want to see in the budget what in the first year, if the IMF program is implemented or is accepted, how we will implement it, and what are the conditionalities that the IMF is spelling out, or the expected conditionalities that the IMF is spelling out. Don't forget that in the 2014 budget, it was stated that government will make effort to remove all subsidies in this country. So we do not want to see those ones in the 2015 budget. And you know that the IMF is looking at that conditionality, or at that, making sure that it is implemented. You know, so there's going to be a lot of, we are expecting a lot of the IMF, discussions being held, and what the IMF is expecting from us in the budget. If I don't hear anything like that in the budget, I'll be surprised. But I know that certainly there will be government explanation as to what the IMF expectations are and what the IMF program is expecting us to do in the 2015 budget.
Wonderful. Ms. Alba, I thank you for your thoughts, and definitely we will get back to you for some more engagements after the budget is read tomorrow. So grateful.
Thank you.
Great. Mr. Samuel Kofi Ampah there. He is a research analyst and also economist with the Gold Coast Fund Management there, sharing his thoughts ahead of the budget presentation tomorrow. Now, let's go for a critical lens segment tonight. In our critical lens segment tonight, we travel to the central region where a police force is a constituted body of persons empowered by the state to enforce the law, protect property, and limit civil disorder. Now, but if the condition in which some of these law enforcers are working in their surroundings can be best described by these words as deplorable, terrible, appalling, and unacceptable, then there is much to be desired. My colleague Bright Jaka and Samuel Essel of our sister station Enyidado FM in the central region visited Ewutu Bojiasi police station in the central region and came through with this report.
Ewutu Municipal Assembly has 5 police stations under 2 police administrations at Winneba and Kasua. The 5 police stations are located at Winneba, Ewutu Breku, Senya, Bojiasi, and Kasua. After several distress calls from the personnel at the Bojiasi police station complaining about the state of their facilities, First Digital News teamed up with our sister station Enyidado FM to see at first hand the exact situation pertaining there and the conditions in which these men and women work. Since there is a saying that pictures tell more stories than words, we decided to let you see it for yourself. Samuel Essel, our Central Regional correspondent walks us through where is supposed to be the charge room, District MTTU office, the CID's office, the makeshift cell, and the whole interior of the police station. This was after a short resistance from the officers on duty who refused to speak on camera for fear of being penalized by their superiors.
Come here, we have an MTTU commander's office. This is an MTTU commander's office. And look at the chairs. These broken plastic chairs, 3 that they have gathered. Look at it. Have the charge office here, and here this is the cell that they detain suspects. This is the cell. So we ask if we are counting, if I should count, we have the board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wire board, and with a net, and they call it a cell. Modern Ghana. We are lucky we don't have any suspects inside here. So this is the lock that they use to lock a suspect. And look at it. So when I do it like this, I have opened it without a key. I have opened it. Look at it. I have opened it without a key. Another office of one of the officers. That's another charge office. This is the main charge office.
Just when we thought we have seen the worst, the officers told us off camera that they are still using the old-centric pan latrine, which they have to empty themselves. First Digital News decided to explore where these officers have their bath and also attend nature's call. We were horrified by what we saw.
So there is a saying that travel and see, and if you are told you don't believe it, what you need to do is to visit the place and see. We are actually behind the Ewutu Bojuasi police station. This is the camp where they sleep. This the buildings that you are seeing here. This is where the policemen who are supposed to keep law here, this is where they sleep. And in fact, directly in front of me, 21st century, they are still using the pan latrine. And one officer told me that they used to carry this in themselves to empty it. And all this are happening in 21st century Ghana.
A daughter of one of the police officers said she was tired of hiding their frustrations and decided to tell us all what they have been going through for some years now.
Someone like my dad is having this big family. I, my siblings, my mom, and sometimes we do have some visitors around. And when they come, we have to share this room with them, which is single, preparing soup over there. And I can't stand there preparing the soup whilst my sister is also there with the banku, because that place is not big for us. The space is very small, so she has to come out and do the banku whilst I'm doing the soup in there. Yeah.
Okay. How about because of ventilation? If there is power off, what do you do?
Okay, actually, one is power off. We do come out to sleep outside, like this place. You see some of the mattresses outside, so we used to bring them out and then sleep on it until the light is in.
Let's still stay with issues of development and critical land segment tonight, where despite repeated reportage about the sanitation conditions at the Makola market here in Accra, not much has been done to improve conditions there. Now, authorities at the market say they're putting in efforts to clear the filth, but the market women say not much is being done, although they pay daily tolls for the clearance of the filth they generate.
A visit to the market by First Digital News reveals that following the demolition of Mokala No. 1 market in the early 1980s, a waterlogged portion of Agbagloshi was converted to a market to resettle the displaced today Mokala market in one of Accra's biggest foodstuff and clothing markets. Its location makes it accessible to people in various parts of Accra. Customers prefer to shop here because of cheap prices of foodstuffs and other items. conditions. The contamination of food with bacteria makes food poisoning a possibility, and some of the vegetables lose their state of freshness and nutritional value as a result of the way they are handled. Despite efforts being made by Zoomlion, a private waste management firm, to improve the sanitation conditions at the market, it still remains filthy, especially with choked gutters, making efforts to improve the sanitation conditions here less impactful. Speaking to some market women in the market, they explained that they are not the cause of the bad sanitation condition in the market. This is because the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, has been taking monies from them in the name of maintaining the place and to make sure that better hygienic conditions are observed.
Lolo Luevanda poe, Bomodia Kebani, Mammy, Afe Fali. She mammy, Yafe Fali, Jagadane, pure water, can take away rubber, a womuji, Lolo, a war, Biane, Vanda poe, Jacque, ni pure water be, Etua make bay, come home, pure tame rubber, no make her. She make a share for she condemn mammy, but take away rubber. No me so war mammy, Muji. Agbene junkie si enwe ka ma telebola na me ka ba su olo le gbe no ha ma mi ache wa ma mi fe wa skabe e ma mi fe wa mo ka a se duan ke woni won ni fi o si be dara mi fe egbo o pa fa ko ni re fa na fe fa ko ni fa na aye mu wo Dola ga chero ni wo na ga ate no ya ga me na ga chero ma ga shi na ma wa ma we mo dola ate o ma ma ko ni ko na fe fan ya wo fe afine blo nya emi wa di eje a he no ko ha wo ma mi e wa shika be ma mi e wo ko ba ja no wo ta ja no di ga ko wasan wo te ka shika so wo bo nyu mo wo ke lo le fe ye wo shika a he no ko ni bi e hu jile wa hu me hu nye ma mi e ba agashika be obia ne wonta ko ni akwa na afe no kwa wo leke na ka bro nya ne wo bi nye atalewo wonye wo atalewo wo bi e wo sana akwa ni ma anya ba ma ko ni bi afe fa wo shi bi anele emi wa bi anele ma mi e wa de. The Mokola market remains a preferred destination for most people to buy foodstuffs. The sanitation conditions here should therefore be of primary concern to all. These were the resounding calls made by the market women selling there. First, why only what Biana Henny? Eto what I want to is Hunu Sawo. Abai on say. Sorry, mo, I can't buy a bed. You want one fire, and I any hour. Pure rubber, we wo mami muti. Pure rubber, we wo mami muti. E wo mami muti. E wana any hour. Iblo nyane wa pay obi school fees.
Ghana has a lot of problems, and sanitation, you know, is the most serious one because look at the hygienic situation in Ghana. Everywhere you pass, especially in the urban cities, you see rubbish all over the place, and I don't think we should leave it in the hands of the government alone. The individuals, we have to do our part. As I stand here, I have a polythene rubber in my pocket. Let me show it to you. At least it will be. You see, after drinking my water, I don't want to throw it out. I have to put it in my pocket so that when I get where I can get a dustbin, I put it inside. You know, so if we all try to do some of these things, we would help our nation to be clean.
Still watching the news here on First TV on your First Digital Television. We're also live on Business Television Africa, BTA. We will be back shortly with some more stories after this quick break. Don't go away.
Like us on Facebook at First Digital TV. You love me, baby, I know it's true. Sometimes it's crazy.
Welcome back to the news here on First TV. Let's now go for pension tips for today.
We continue on our tips on pension mistakes to avoid opting out of your company's pension scheme. If you walk out of your workplace pension scheme, you could miss out on thousands of cedis. This is because lots of companies match employee contributions, so ignoring a company pension scheme effectively means saying no to free money. All workers do have the right to opt out of the pension scheme, but you will be automatically enrolled if you change your employer.
Pension Tips is brought to you by PenTrust. Call them for all your Tier 2 and 3 pension plans on 0302 901 500 or 0501 291 030. PenTrust, discipline.
Let's now go over some business news. In business this evening, the Ghana Revenue Authority has fixed 2017 to expand its self-assessment scheme to cover every taxpayer in the country. Kwesi Opong Damwa, Acting Deputy Communications and Public Affairs Rector of the Ghana Revenue Authority, has said the self-assessment regime, which is aimed at providing all taxpayers with greater equity and fairness, has been instituted to encourage voluntary compliance.
Mr. Opong Damwa explained at a tax education forum for taxpayers drawn from Tema, Spintex, and Legon medium tax offices that the self-assessment scheme will require taxpayers to fulfill their tax obligations by computing their own liabilities and submit the self-assessment. Mr. Opong Damwa indicated that under the self-assessment regime, taxpayers are allowed not only to submit estimates of their chargeable incomes before the beginning of the basis period, but to also revise their estimates when in the course of the year it is detected that the initial estimates may be incorrect. He said it is important that taxpayers keep good and proper records of their transactions to be able to file verifiable estimates of chargeable income and to also be able to support estimates with own budget for the year of assessment. He added that returns which will be accepted will be subject to verification by GRA on the accuracy and completeness of the items on the returns.
Okay, so let's go on to the forex market, find out how the cedi is faring against some major currencies across the world. Let's cross over into the studios of Sports 24, and Akosia Moa is standing by with all the latest news.
Good evening to you and welcome to the sports segment of the news from the studios of Sports 24 with me, Akosi Amwa. And in sports this evening, Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, Fred Krenzel, says the various national age teams will continue their preparations for the competitions if they qualify despite a CAF ban, while the Football Association deals with the appeal.
Well, I believe that we are on course. I don't know what you're talking about, but I believe that we are on course. All the teams are preparing for the various games that they have to play. The satellites have qualified for the next competition in Africa. The Starlets, well, we have a slight problem with CAF, and we've appealed against their decision. So I believe that things are going on smooth swell. So I believe things are moving on smoothly.
Well, moving away from the world of sports into some boxing news, coach of the National Amateur Boxing has lamented that the growing number of boxers turning professionals is becoming a worry to the National Boxing Authority.
For now, it's all about Ghana. I'm worried because I wanted them to stay. For now, it's all about Ghana. I'm worried because I wanted.
So that's it for sports this evening from the studios of Sports 24 with me, Akosi Amwa. We are going back into the studios of First TV as we bring you some entertainment news. Please do stay.
Good evening, welcome to the entertainment segment of the news. My name is Grace Hamo Asari. Now on to our first story this evening. Dancehall royalty Shatta Wale has outdoored a new track themed Holy Bible, which features D2. Shatta talks about his faith in God, explaining because of the blessings of Jah, rivals cannot contest me. Shatta further urges faith-based people to show their Bible as proof of their faith in Jah.
The controversial musician Charles Ni Amomensa Jr., aka Shatta Wale, descended heavily on Charterhouse series of videos he released online, accusing them of being corrupt. Shatta Wale delivers his sermon in English, Pidgin, Patois, and Ga. D2 provides some good singing, while he also urges folks to put God first in their dealings. Genius adds a dose of his magic to this one as well.
God, you are so wonderful. God, you are wonderful. God, you created heavens and on the earth. You did everything all at I say, God, you are so wonderful. It was great.
And moving on to the international front, daytime show host Oprah Winfrey, as it is believed, has only 4 weeks, 4 months to live as a diagnosis of a stage 4 cancer has disclosed.
I have made more money than I could spend in a lifetime, but I'm going to enjoy seeing what kind of dent I can put in $2 billion in 3 months, said Oprah, proclaiming that she could spend half her fortune making a few lucky fans' dreams come true, donating the rest, and while leaving something for her dog and Stedman. Oprah seemed to be in high spirits, saying, "Why be sad when I can buy a small country, name it Oprah, and live forever?"
So I think this is the time we all need to say a word of prayer for Oprah anytime we go on our knees to pray. And that's it for entertainment with me, Grace Hammer Asari. Alfred is back after this quick break. Please stay.
You can now pay your 20 Ghana Cedis first digital subscription at your nearest GN Bank. Just walk in with your UN number, which you can find by pressing CAS on your remote. Please pay now to avoid disconnection. Call 0243 002222 for more information. First Digital, for the Ghanaian in you.
Let's now go over some international news. And on the international front, Mali is on high alert after authorities in Bamako confirmed the fifth case of Ebola in the country. Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta visited a treatment center earlier today where the humanitarian medical group Doctors Without Borders is receiving patients, and 3 people, all showing symptoms that should have led medical staff to suspect Ebola, all died as the Pasteur Clinic, one of Bamako's best and busiest hospitals.
Recently been in neighboring Guinea. She was diagnosed after arriving at a hospital in western Mali on Wednesday. The infected girl and those who have come in contact with her have been quarantined. Other countries neighboring Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia are on high alert for possible infected cases of Ebola. Mali is the 6th West African country to be affected by the deadly virus. Senegal and Nigeria have since been declared virus-free by the World Health Organization.
Okay, so that's it for the news this evening. But before we go, let's take a recap of some of the news that made topical headlines tonight. As in the headlines this evening, providing security but not secured, the case of police station. We brought you some details of the situation in the Bojase police station, as you saw there. And 8 injured, 3 cars burnt in war clashes in the Upper West region. Consumers to face more power outages due to gas shortage. And on the international front, Kenya arrests after women stripped in Nairobi. Well, that's it for the news this evening. It came to you live from our studios here in Accra. Let me just remind you also that we were live on Business Television Africa BTA all across the world. Now, you can join us again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. as we bring you some more news. But stay with us, because Business Television Africa BTA is bringing you the business stories at exactly 7 p.m. My name is Alfred Akanse. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for watching and good evening.
Hello, my name is Annie Okwa-Ampofo, host of the First Show on First TV on a platform, First Digital. The First Show displays to you a lot of issues on your table. Talk about education, social matters, security, politics, and of course, entertainment.
What is government people think was some animal somewhere? Government is you and I, it's our money. If you want me to debate him on good economic governance, invite me.
We've done things the same way